Okay, so you just got a new Honda 450 RL. Today I'm gonna go over how to set up the suspension, the stock suspension on your new Honda 450 RL. I'll cover a few myths about the suspension on the 450 RL. First off, the Honda 450 RL stock suspension is fully adjustable, contrary to what some previous owners say. Fully adjustable. Okay, the suspension that comes stock on the 450 RL is some of the best stock suspension you can buy on a dirt bike, dual sport, even some of the big adventure bikes. And it's just as good, if not better, than the new generation KTM closed cartridge. The new KTMs have finally stepped up their game, and they're like finally on par with the Showa suspension that comes stock on the Honda 450 RL. Also, people will say, the Showa suspension is not that good. Well, the Showa suspension has the same internals as the KYB. And I've only rode KYB a couple times, but it feels fabulous. It feels like somebody set it up for me. The Showa suspension has the exact same internals and can be set up for racing. Okay, the problem with the stock suspension on the 450 RL or even the 450X is it's stiff. It's super stiff, but that's a good problem to have because it's easier to make a stiff suspension soft than it is to make a soft suspension stiff. And it's coming from their race heritage, right? So the suspension's designed for racing and stuff, so it's stiff out of the box. What I'm gonna do is show you how to fix that. What we're gonna do, we're gonna soften it up. I'll go over how to set it up, and in the end, I'll go over my settings that I have, that somebody gave me that races Baja. What a lot of people will do is they say you need an A kit, which is like $10,000 suspension. You don't need an A kit for this bike. 90% of us are not out riding this stock suspension. Just because somebody has a kit on their bike doesn't mean they're that top 10%. They could just have a clapped out bike and they've rebuilt it. But most of us, we're not riding over the limits of the stock suspension. Now, I also want to go over some of the lingo, the language that people use when talking about suspension, because it gets kind of confusing. Like if you turn clockwise, that's the same as making it harder on the Honda, and that's the same as seating the suspension all the way in. There's a needle in the suspension with a valve. It's not like a hole, and it goes into the hole. So the harder you make it, the more that needle sits in that hole, and it makes it harder for the oil to flow past it. And when you go counterclockwise or softer, you're opening it up, like you're pulling out the needle, allowing the oil to flow faster, right? So remember that, because that's critical. Now, I made a mistake on rebound. If you go harder or clockwise all the way in, it's making it harder for the oil to flow. So when the oil is harder to flow on rebound, it makes the rebound much slower. What is rebound? Rebound is the suspension extending back, right? That's rebound. And let me just say, I'm no expert at suspension. I just get a lot of these questions all the time, and I'm just trying to help people get their bike set up. I don't race. I'm not Jet Lawrence. I'm just giving some tips on how to set your suspension up, and I'll help you understand it, how to set it up, and I'll give you some setup at the end. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure, if you're over 185 pounds, you want to go to racetech.com, and they have like a spring calculator. You put your information in, all your information, your bike, your weight, and it'll tell you what springs you need for the front or the back. I know that like if you're 205 pounds and you put all your information in for a 450 RL, it's going to tell you that you can keep the front fork springs, but you'll need to change the rear. So if you're under 185 pounds, you don't need to do all this. But if you're over that, you want to check. Over 205 pounds, I think you got to change the springs on the front. But go to racetech.com, use their spring calculator, put in all your information. It'll tell you what you need to change and what size. The next step we're going to do is check our sag. And this is very important. Making sure you set your sag properly is going to really help the balance of the bike. It's going to determine how it rides, right? So before we do any adjustments to the bike, we're going to set our sag. On your motorcycle, ride height is changed by adjusting the rear spring preload. So basically, we're going to measure the bike on a stand with the wheel completely off the ground. And we're going to measure from the center of the axle adjuster right here. And we're going to measure up to right here. And this would be on a stand with the rear wheel off. Not like it is right now, but with the rear wheel off. Nobody on it, just completely the full sag of the suspension, right? From here to here. Then what you do, you're gonna get this, you're gonna take the bike off the stand, and then with your riding weight and your riding gear, you're gonna get on the bike and have a friend measure it. The same thing, from the center of the axle adjuster to the center of the seat, same spot. And you're gonna measure that, measure in millimeters, and then you take the difference, and that's your sag. A proper race sag should be like 105 millimeters. It can go from 105 up to like 108, 110. Honda recommends 105 millimeters. If you're 185 pounds, that's not gonna be hard to do. You get that difference between measuring it on the stand with the wheel off the ground, and then you measure it on the ground with you on the bike with all the weight that you're gonna carry while you ride. It should be 105 millimeters. Now, if you're a heavier guy and you're undersprung, that distance is going to be a lot more. And if you try to adjust it out and you got the wrong spring, it's going to be way off, and it'll tell you that it's way off, right? Because you'll have to go really, really low, and then when you sag on, it's too much. So I'll show you how we adjust that. See, we'll look down in here and you can see those rings. The top ring is like a locking washer, locking nut. You want to loosen that. If your sag is not enough, let's say your sag is 80 millimeters instead of 105, you would loosen this top one and then raise the bottom ring up, screw it up more, and allow that spring to stretch more. It won't be as hard, right? It won't be as stiff, so when you sit on it, it'll sag a little more. Now, if you're like 115, what you would do is lower that bottom ring, and then this top one, just like once you get it where you want, then you just tighten that top one down to lock it in, right? If you're got too much sag, you're gonna lower this, and if you don't have enough sag, you're gonna raise this up, right? That's your preload adjuster. Now, if you're carrying luggage, you want to put that luggage on when you go to, after you take it off the stand, you want to measure it with that luggage on, because all that weight's going to adjust your sag. So me, I don't run around with a lot of luggage, so I measure it and I run it like this because this is how I ride it 80% of the time. Now, the next thing I want to do is show you about bleeding the forks. This is the top of the fork. There's a screw on the top here, then there's a screw in the middle, right? The bottom one is hard, soft, so that's how we're gonna adjust compression. But the top screw, we need to bleed the air out. We need to bleed the air out of the forks from time to time. So what you do is you want to put it on a stand, or you want to get the front wheels off the ground so the forks are fully extended. And then what you'll do is you'll unscrew this and you'll hear it hiss. Las Vegas to Ouray, Colorado, and it's like 6,000-7,000 feet higher. Once I got to Colorado, I had to bleed the air out so it equalizes, right? Or you create heat in there, and that heat expands that air and creates more pressure. If you don't bleed your forks from time to time, it's gonna feel super stiff. It's gonna act stiff because it's got all this air pumped up in there. When I was in Colorado, I rode a trail for a little bit and took the air out, and it was way better, right? So you don't have to screw these all the way out. Just screw it enough till it starts hissing and then stops, and then screw it back in. But again, you want to put it on a stand, or you want to get your wheels off the ground. It's important to bleed your forks. At the end, like I said before, at the end I'll give you my settings, but right now I'm going to show you how to get to the standard Honda setting, right? And I'm sure a lot of us go to that standard Honda rider setting, and I did it and I still found it super stiff. I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll talk about my settings. Okay, to set the fork compression, the screw right here in the middle, not the top one, but in the middle of the fork. If you go clockwise, that's harder. If you go counterclockwise, that's softer. Okay, to find the standard Honda setting, you're going to turn it clockwise all the way until it stops. You'll hit and it won't click again. Don't force it, but it'll go and it won't click no more. It kind of just runs into a bump, but don't click in. If you turn it back, if you hit that and turn it back just a little bit, it'll click. That's position 1. So we go all the way clockwise until it won't go no more. Then we back it off a little bit, and that first click is position 1. Then we want to go counterclockwise 6 more clicks, right? So 7 all together. Okay, and then you're gonna do the same over here on this one. That's the right side, this is the left side. So you can see here it says harder, soft. We'll turn this one all the way hard, all the way in, means the same thing. And then we're gonna back it off 7 clicks counterclockwise, or softer. So you go all the way until it won't go and click no more, and don't force it, but then just come back, that's click 1, go 6 more counterclockwise. That's your compression. Should be 7 out from hard on both sides. That's the standard Honda compression setting. Okay, then on rebound, rebound's on both sides here, but I'll show you down on the bottom here. That's your rebound. And there's your rebound right there. It even says soft or hard, right? Hard is clockwise, soft is counterclockwise. What you want to do on the rebound to get to the standard position is you're going to change that little screw right there, and you're going to turn it clockwise until it won't go no more. And then you're going to back it off a little bit, and that's the first click. That's click number 1. That's spot number 1. We're going to go 11 more clicks counterclockwise or softer. So 12 clicks out from hard is the rebound stock suspension setting. And you'll do that on both sides. There's one on this side and there's one on this side. So you do that and make them even on both sides. All the way hard, all the way clockwise, and then back out 12 clicks counterclockwise softer. Standard Honda rebound setting. Okay, and that's the standard setting for compression and rebound on the forks. And for me, at 160 pounds with no gear, that's super stiff. Super stiff. Let's go over the rear. I already talked about the preload. We'll adjust that before we do anything else. But okay, so the low speed is this little screw inside the nut. And basically, for low speed compression, you're going to set it all the way clockwise or all the way harder, and then back it out 11 clicks, or counterclockwise 11 clicks. That is the Honda standard low compression setting. Now the high compression setting is this whole nut right here. And you can tell there's an indent on, you probably can't see it, but there's an indent on the screw, there's an indent on the nut, and then there's an indent on this out here. So there's 3 indent marks. And the high speed is this nut, and we're going to turn it clockwise all the way harder, and then we're going to back it out counterclockwise 3 1/4 full turns. This way, 1, 2, 3, and then a quarter turn. And then you want to line it up, the mark, indent mark here with the indent mark there. And that's the standard setting, right? That's Honda's standard setting for high speed. And then the shock rebound is this middle screw right here. And basically, you're going to turn it clockwise, all the way clockwise, all the way hard, all the way in. And then you're going to back it off counterclockwise 7 to 10 clicks. It says 7 to 10 clicks. And there's 2 indent marks. You want to line the indent marks up. Whether that's 9 clicks or 10 clicks to line those marks up, that's how you do it. I've set the front fork standard super stiff for me. And I set the rear standard position super stiff for me. Tons of rebound and stuff. Tons of high speed. Like, super stiff still. I'm going to go over my settings. Like I said, I'm no expert, but a guy who races Baja and sets up a lot of bikes. And you can run these bikes, you can race these bikes in Baja, Ironman stuff, whatever, with a Showa suspension, with the Showa stock suspension, you can, right? It's possible. This is good suspension. It comes from racing. It just, you need to get it set up. Even if you get this bike resprung, it's still the same valving, so you can use these settings. And I highly recommend people try these settings and run it, because it's way better, you know, it's way better. But Darren Elliott, a Baja racer, gave me these settings, and like, I find it a lot better. Now this is kind of a base. You might get down and then realize you need to adjust just a little bit. 1 click here, 1 click there, but for me it's been pretty damn good. So my fork compression is all the way out. And that's basically all the way counterclockwise, or all the way soft, or all the way out. That's my compression on both sides, all the way out. That's like, I think 22, 23 clicks from hard. Instead of just counting all that out, go all the way to the left. And then it'll be the same way at the top, where it won't click, but it stops and it won't click in. So you back it off a little bit, go clockwise a little bit, and you'll feel that click. That's that first click. That's all the way out. That's like 22, 23 out. And do the same on the other side. Compression all the way out, all the way soft, all the way counterclockwise, same thing. And then rebound. Rebound is all the way hard, all the way in, and then you back it out 6 clicks, right? So 6 clicks softer, 6 clicks counterclockwise, 6 clicks from all the way hard, or 6 clicks out. means all the same thing. And you do that on both sides. That rebound will basically, when your rebound's really fast and you hit little rocks, it deflects a lot because it's rebounding so fast. So if you slow it down a lot and you hit those little rocks, you'll roll over that rock before it rebounds. And that's what you want. Really, to fine tune your rebound, you want to go over like a trail that has multiple bumps, like some rocks in Colorado that I had, or like, you know, some braking bumps on a racetrack. That's how you really dial it in, because maybe you put it at 7 clicks out or 6 clicks out and it doesn't rebound slow enough. Once you go over that first bump, it should be set up to hit the second bump and then set up again to hit the third one. If it's too fast, you hit that first bump and it's sprung out, it's extended, and it's harsh every time. Bang, 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 and it starts pogoing or stacking, right? It gets very pogo-y, where the front end doesn't want to settle down because it's got too much rebound in it. And that's how you really test it. The rebound is on some trail that has a lot of bumps. See how it does over multiple bumps. If the rebound is right, got the right speed, you'll float over that stuff and it'll extend once you get over it and then ready for the next one, right? And rebound's very important to set up. If your rebound's off, your bike's gonna ride like shit. Plain and simple, right? Doesn't want to turn real well, it wants to wash out, its balance is off, it's all kind of crazy and wacky. And I knew my rebound was off a little bit, but this definitely feels a lot better. Okay, let's move to the rear. Okay, my rear shock, my high-speed compression is all the way out, all the way counterclockwise, all the way to soft. You just want to turn it counterclockwise, and that's this outside washer or outside nut. That's your high speed, and move it all the way counterclockwise. You want to take the high speed compression all the way out of this bike. I was close to all the way out and it was still kicking my butt a little bit. The racer said just take it all the way out, and I took it all the way out and my rear is pretty good. So high speed compression all the way out, all the way counterclockwise. And if you need to adjust it, it should be like a 16th clockwise, 16th of a turn clockwise, or an 1/8 of a turn clockwise. But if you're under 185 pounds, you don't need any high-speed compression. Unless you're riding that fast, and you are that fast, then yeah. You want to put a little in, but no more than an 1/8 of a turn. 16 or an 1/8 of a turn. Okay, then my compression on the rear shock is going to be all the way out. That's all the way counterclockwise, or all the way soft, right? And that's this little screw inside there. I turned it all the way down. That's what was recommended. That's how we soften this bike up on the rear. And it works, try it. We wanna do the rebound. The rebound is gonna be, we're gonna go all the way hard and then come out 6 clicks or 7 clicks. I'm 7 clicks out from hard on the rebound. That's my rebound on the rear. So I got 6 rebound on the front and I'm 7 rebound on the rear. I have no compression in the front and I have no compression in the rear, and I have no high speed compression in the rear. Now another thing, people will say, oh, I'm worried about bottoming out and stuff. Well, yeah, if you're heavy you can bottom out, but a lot of people, you can tell, I don't know if you can see it here, but you can see the dust, the shock will come down, the fork will come down and show you where you're sitting most of the time. Right, so if you're bottoming out, it's getting way down here. You'll see a dust line like way down here, but really my dust line's like way up here. So like I'm not using all the fork. And another bit of lingo, like this is the top of the stroke. That's the top of the stroke. It's the first bit that the fork is going to move, and then the bottom of the stroke is way down here, and that's the last bit that's going to move when the fork is actuating. So you can always tell and have a look, see where your dust line is, how much of the shock you're using. And another thing you can do, I got my kickstand now, but you can push on the rear and see how long it takes to come back up, right? It needs to be a little slow coming up, doesn't just boing boing, but it also doesn't need to come up in stages where it comes up a little bit and then it slowly like rises, right? It should come all the way up kind of slow, or come up super fast. You can also get guys that shoot video of your suspension riding over a trail that's bumpy, and you can take that to an expert and they can kind of tell you, but This is pretty ideal for a stock setup. Even if you get it resprung, the valving's still stock. This is what you want to do. Now, some heavier guys, like, they might be bottoming out on their forks, so just go up like clockwise for the compression if you're bottoming out. I feel like most people, if you're under 185 pounds, this setup, you're still going to be stiff, more than likely. So what you want to do is take it to a suspension specialist and have them revalve it to be a little softer. I recommend Ryan at FrontLine Suspension. I'll put links in the description. I'll put a phone number down there too, you can call if you want. But Ryan's pretty badass. He's here in Vegas. You don't have to be in Vegas. He'll mail you Pelican cases. You put your suspension in it and then you mail it back to him. He takes care of it. Basically, the beauty of Ryan is you can just tell him what you want. Like, I have stock suspension and I want it to be softer, right? He can make that softer for you. Moto uses Ryan at FrontLine Suspension for their build. So he's very reputable. His old man's been in the Baja scene for trophy trucks and all kinds of stuff for years. So if you run this setup, if you find that still stiff, then you want to take it to somebody like FrontLine Suspension. Have them revalve it. There's a lot of good companies out there, but I know Ryan knows his stuff, and that's where I take my stuff. So links are in the description. Hope you liked the video. I hope this is somewhat informative. I want people to be able to set up their Honda, right? Because some people don't ever touch the stuff, right? They're used to bikes that aren't adjustable, so they don't ever adjust their stuff. And you could be like me, adjusting a little bit and go the wrong way on one of them, and it'll just mess you up, right? But once you get your rebound set, this rebound is pretty good. And once you get that, it'll turn a lot better, it'll ride a lot better, the balance is a lot better. And for me, when my front wheel wants to wash out, I know it's my weight. It's more predictable. And I can tell that I'm not doing correct body position. Where before, I could be correct body position and it still wants to slide out because my rebound stuff was all off. If your suspension's not set up, it gets difficult to ride. And you could buy an A kit, and if it's not set up for you, it's still gonna be difficult to ride. So A kits don't mean everything. This is already good suspension. It's just a matter of getting it set up. If you have any questions, comment down below. I'll try to answer them. Hope you liked the video. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you guys later.